Hello, my name is Kate Davis and I'm an independent fertility nurse consultant and I'm the resident expert right here at Baby Start. Today, I want to talk to you about fertility myths. There are so many of them and I want to try and bust a few. Now, I'm not going to be able to go through all of them, and I'm sure there will be so many more that you've got. So please feel free to put anything that you're not sure about that you think might be a myth, but is there any truth to it? Put that in the comments below and I will happily answer it. So the first one then, struggling to conceive is always due to the woman. Absolutely not at all. It's actually 50-50. And worryingly, male infertility is on the increase and we're seeing poorer sperm health. So certainly it's not always down to the woman. I think often women take the responsibility for it. And I frequently hear women saying things like that, like, oh, my husband's fine or my partner's fine, so I know it's me. But actually, until you start investigating and have all the tests, you don't really know. So it's definitely a 50-50, that's for sure. Another myth about ovulation is that ovulation always occurs on day 14. Well, if you've been listening to any of my other videos, and you may have heard me talking about this, but absolutely, ovulation doesn't always occur on day 14. Now, if you have a 28-day cycle and you have a regular cycle, then it's more likely that ovulation will be occurring around that time. Again, not always on day 14, it might be on other times around that time, but certainly not always or necessarily on that day. But if you have a shorter cycle or a longer cycle, then you will either ovulate earlier in a shorter cycle or later in a longer cycle. So it's really important to get to understand your body and know when you're ovulating and not just assume that it's going to be day 14. Okay, next myth. This one is an interesting one. So you can conceive from sex the day after ovulation, or even the day after ovulation. Well, actual fact, you're more likely to conceive from sex that occurs in the days prior to ovulation, the 5 days prior to ovulation, and the day of ovulation. And the reason being is that what's the life of the sperm is up to about 5 days, potentially even as much as 7 days. The life of the egg is really short, only 12 to 24 hours. So you can see, depending on where you ovulated in a day, it might be that by the following day, you're no longer fertile. Another really common one that I get asked is, can lying in bed after sex or putting your legs up or tilting your pelvis after sex increase your chances of conceiving? Well, all the research that's looked into that shows us that no, actually, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't seem to be any benefit. But clearly, if you want to lie in bed after you've had sex for a cuddle or to have a cup of tea, then that's completely up to you. But it doesn't seem to make any difference. Another really good one, and one that may take you a bit by surprise, is that stress impacts on fertility. No, all the current evidence that we have says that stress doesn't actually impact on fertility. And we know this because countries that are war-torn or have low economic poverty appear to have the highest birth rates. So we know, therefore, that those stressors don't impact on fertility. What does impact on fertility is what you do when you're stressed, and that is increasing alcohol, no longer exercising, burying yourself in work, smoking, all of these things, eating poorly. Those are things that can impact on your fertility as a consequence of stress rather than stress itself actually impacting on your fertility. The final one is a bit of fun. Pineapples can help you conceive. So eating pineapples can help you get pregnant quicker. No, there's no evidence to suggest. There is a substance in pineapples that, if taken in large doses, are reputed to improve fertility. But to be honest, you'd probably have to eat a whole lorry load for actually to have any effect. So there you go. There are some myths that I've busted. But again, like I said earlier, please put your comments below. And if you've got any myths, I will happily bust them for you or tell you if what you're thinking is actually true. All right, speak soon.